All right. Let's get some folks in here and see if we can get some updates on this. A little bit of live testing with the Radeon 7. We'll see if we can get some folks in here. We're going to do a quick live test on, we're doing it on Windows again. We did a live stream earlier today on Twitch TV for about 4.5 hours, installing and configuring this in an 1800X gaming build, and I'm going to now take you guys through. We could not get the fans to spin up. I think it's something wrong with the card, but before I went ahead and did an RMA on this, I want to test it in another machine and confirm that the fans are the problem, or something with the controller or something with it. They will not go past 800 RPM on this new Radeon 7 fresh out of the box. So we can still do some testing. It's just, it gets hot pretty quick and starts to temp throttle. But we're going to see if we can pick up another one, and in lieu of this one going into RMA. But I'll let a few folks get joining, and then we'll do some testing. Welcome, everybody. We'll get into this here in a second. Let some folks get in. Make sure I'm get a few things configured. This box is what would be a typical mining rig kind of box. This is a test bench that has a G4400 in it. That's Pentium, 4 gigs of memory, and then the Radeon 7. So it's a typical mining board box, just to see, you know, how does the Radeon 7 perform in like a normal mining box, just in general, and we'll see how that goes. Idle power on this box is about 30 watts, so about 29 watts, so it's a low wattage box. So we'll get to see a pretty good indication of what the Radeon 7 pulls on a, you know, a low wattage baseline. It's going up. Zio Trek, how's it going? You guys hear me fine? Hopefully. Let a few more people get in here, and then we'll get to it. So we're going to be looking at a handful of things. So we'll go back through Grin. We'll go through a few other things. I wanted to bring this content to you guys on YouTube, just like I did on Twitch, and we'll have a kind of a finalized video for the Too Long Didn't Read Bros on YouTube. Long time, yeah, buddy. I stream on Twitch quite a bit, so if you guys miss the live streams, they're usually on Twitch, but I thought I'd give the old YouTube brethren a live stream. Looks like we have about 12 viewers. Gone are the days of 300 and 400 viewer YouTube videos, so in this space. Do you answer questions in the comments area anymore? Yes, I do. The troll channel. Yeah, I had to find. It took me about a week and a few days to get a hold of one, so they are not available anywhere. Let's do some mining with it right now, just while we wait for some viewership here. So out of the box, again, this is bone stock. You can see the power kick all the way up to over 300. And out of the box, we're at 90 mega hash, 92. The speed on this, and you can see right there, that's almost 300 watts power usage. It's just under about 286, 290, yeah, about 290 watts of power. Just out of the box, sitting there at 92 mega hash on this, on stock settings. And if you're wondering why it's so quiet, it's because the fans on the card that I was sent do not spin up, or they do not get any faster than the idle speed. Even when it gets full on, full temp, 120 Celsius, it'll just start to calm the card down. When it comes to power, you'll start to see that indicator with the power wattage right now, with setting at about 339. You'll see that drop to about 250 here in a minute as this card warms up. And you're already seeing it drop a mega hash here. It's starting to back down the card because it's spinning way. A lot of heat coming off of it now. About 100. It gets to about 85 Celsius and then it starts to cool the card down, or back the card down on power. And now you're down to 84. So we'll spin that down. Part of the problem, and I've tried, well, we did about a 4.5-hour stream on Twitch, and we did about everything known to man with removing drivers, switching, using the DDU on it, switching out to 19.2.1, which is the previous driver for this card. Went back up to 19.2.2 and still having the same kind of issue with it. Bottom line, my card does not react to anything on the fan curve. We've tried Afterburner, have tried Overdrive InTool, have tried Info64. All of them do not manipulate the fan speed on the card. So I think we're just kind of stuck right now. Or if I try to move this fan curve any, we can drag even the top setting right here. Typically, if you do something like that and apply, it'll make a fan noise change because it's sending the command over, and nothing. So you can see we're setting at about 52 Celsius as the card is just naturally cooling down since there's no load on it. We'll come in here and do, we're going to change this config real quick, 2 to 3. And here's a little bit of Grin for people that have been into Grin right now. You'll see that junction temperature just shoot straight up real quick. And I think the CPU does play some effect in this because we were a little faster on the 1800X than 4.32. We were almost 4.7 with a faster CPU. Now this doesn't hit the, Grin doesn't hit the temp real quick. It doesn't send it through the roof really fast like some of the other algos do. But again, we're only at 4.3 on Grin. .68 is the fastest we've seen on it. You need to stream more often on YouTube. That's what Fox says, Foxy Cloud. I stream often on Twitch, bro. Usually YouTube just gets my my videos. I need to put more videos out since the beginning of the month. Actually, for the last 7 weeks I've traveled. So if you guys have been wondering where the hell I've been traveling for the last 7 weeks. Did CES, did a cruise for 7 days down to the Caribbean. I went to IBM Think 2019. That's where I was just out in San Francisco. I've been to DC a couple times since then also. and was down in Orlando, Florida. So in the last 7 weeks of travel, but I'm now not traveling as much, which is sweet. Let's see here. I believe this miner does not have the right, yeah, this one, G miner does not have the right kernel for this. Go into the latest SRB. Twitch is for tea. Could you be any more licking my buttering? Nice name. Twitch has a better platform when it comes to streaming compared to YouTube. YouTube streaming kind of sucks. From a platform control standpoint, there's like there's no tools. They're trying to make it better, but there's no tools for it. So if I'm having a long stream and I need to do stuff with you guys or have, you know, a giveaway or any of that kind of stuff, it's a lot easier to manage that on Twitch because of the tool set that comes with it. YouTube's coming up on it, but plus, ironically, I seem to get a lot more of the trolley folks on. Oh, I left the intensity setting way high on this. We were doing some testing on Twitch with this, and I had set the intensity to like something crazy where I couldn't do it. So we'll give it a rebuild, another rebuild. Is that a laptop trying to mine? Much noise, no sound. Is there a lot of feedback? You guys getting a lot of feedback? It should be pretty solid. So we're doing some testing right now with the Radeon 7 is what we're doing right now. And I wanted to see if the build that I had before, when I did a previous live stream with it, was part of the problem, which it's not. I put the Radeon 7 now in a different machine, and I'm still having issues with the fans being able to kick on. So right now we're getting Monero set up, which is XMR, to mine. I need to go in and adjust one of the settings under SRB Miner. Config under Monero. We're going to drop this intensity down. The default, I believe, is 120. We're going to save this V8. And then we're going to kick it off again. Sounds fine to me. No feedback. Okay. So it's just, sometimes when you get people that come back and say they're having some issues with sound, you know, you want to make a check. So this is the latest version of SRB Miner for CryptoNight. This is the AMD 1.7.8 and CryptoNight V8, which is the latest. And we're about 2785. So it's a little faster on V7 than V8, so I don't know if anybody else had that kind of happen to them with the latest version of CryptoNight, but this does look like it did take a tick down and the impact hash a little bit, but still 2700 hash for the new Radeon 7 is faster than Vega by about almost 30%. Vega 64 and 56 respectively do right around 2000 hash, to give you guys a perspective on what that is. So we're about almost a third more. Well, right here we're about 25% more, but and you can see the power usage right now. So that's for about 250 watts of power usage. I cannot affect the power on this card right now because Wattman does not work right, and none of the other ancillary tools that you can use with GPU, you know, speed editing with regards to like the power or voltage or clock or memory, like Afterburner or you know, overdrive in tool. Those things do not function, unfortunately, right now for the Radeon 7. It's too new, about a week into the release of it. So Monero's still holding around that. If I go into the config and switch this to V7, I can see the difference between the algorithms between version 7 and 8. I'm going to test this with another card this week and see if the 7 to 8 versioning of the algorithm is different. Yeah, see right there is 2926, so it's about 200 hashes are being shaved off on the difference of the algorithm. I want to see if that's the actual, see if the algebra meets up to be the same on like a 588 gig does about 900 hash. Well, you know, pretty decently optimized. Now, I'm going to get rejections because it's the wrong algorithm right now, but I just wanted to see what the hash rate was with the work that was getting sent to it. We're going to put this back to 8. Save. Did you try the VBIOS update? Yes. So we did on the live stream with on Twitch. I did upgrade the BIOS, and it did not have an effect on the fans. And that was really the UEFI configuration BIOS, because there were some problems with UEFI booting with this card if you do not update the BIOS, and that's what that fixed. But so here it is trying to benchmark some of the different algorithms. It's benchmarking heavy right now. Now this is kind of something that takes a bit. Looks like heavy's at 23. If you can skip each. And that's about what I saw for, let's see here, what was BitTube? BitTube was about that. BitTube was about the same, almost 2400 hash for people that are interested in mining BitTube. If you have a Radeon 7 and want to throw some cycles to it in the evening. Now Raven earlier was having issues with temporary failure on, there we go. Here, I was getting some DNS issues with Ravencoin earlier today. Looks like it's working now. Oh, we were playing with the intensity settings earlier. Let's change some settings here. Let's try 21. Only getting about 19 there. Mega hash there, 21. Let's try to throw the beans at it. Let's give it 4 threads at 20. Looks like Raven Miner's having some issues there. Still having DNS issues. May have frozen it up with that many threads. Yeah, it looks like we got a hard freeze. So did not like 4 threads. It worked with 4 threads on the faster box, but on this Celeron box, it's not. I'm giving it a quick reboot. I do have a solid state in this machine, so it's a little faster. A little Veil. Anybody's mining Veil out there? Get a little Veil numbers here. Mega hash there. We were a little faster. I'm noticing a difference on some of these algorithms based on the G4400 with 4 gigs of memory versus when I had it on the 1800X. The Vel was about 27 mega hash. I'll have to do some more testing with it, but there seems to be a distinct difference between CPUs right now. It's almost time to turn the miners back on. Not unless, so Ethereum right now's difficulty is going up artificially because of the difficult bomb. That will change at the end of this month. On the 25th right now, it's at about target for Ethereum to come with the Constantinople update. When the Constantinople update comes down, it's going to actually reduce the amount of Ethereum that you can get. But it's going to fix the difficult bomb. The difficulty's up about 25% right now, artificially. So if difficulty or if the amount of hash power in the network holds, it's going to be pretty much a swap in the amount of Ethereum you get for the current effort, because you're going to get all that back, all of the you're going to get the difficulty back down to where you get more for your hash power, but you're going to get less Ethereum per block, which means that you're effectively swapping the difficulty reduction for the reduction in the amount of currency you get per block. So yeah, long story short, it's all crap until you know, if Ethereum can break $200+. Ethereum needs to be about 315 or about 215 to be break even for most people price wise right now as it stands, and it's about 130. So right now it's not really worth it. Let's see here, is Windows doing an update or something? 58% CPU. Yeah, it's not launching the multi-miner right now. Just trying to jog the yeah, we might have to move it back over to the 1800X. This Radeon 7 does not like being paired up with a G4400 Pentium. It is not reacting very well. It is not happy. Let's see if it, yeah, it's firing up the single setups, but my menu, it's not firing my bat menu. Let's try 7.0. It's not firing up any of the advanced scripts. Let's give it one more reboot. Let's see if it comes back. But yeah, we're probably going to have to put it in a faster box. It's just not really liking... These drivers are so flaky right now that it's still pretty unstable, even with the 19.2.2. And since the fans are still not spinning, I was going to do a run on Linux, but I wanted to do at least a YouTube stream with you guys to show you guys how fast this thing is on YouTube before I do a produced video, because the produced videos take me a little bit. I'm going to put the time and effort in there to give you guys graphs and all that kind of stuff. It's about a 4 or 5 hour ordeal to put all that together for you guys. So, it's kind of a... There we go. It just took another reboot to get it to actually do something. Working there. Will you make the Ravencoin meetup in March? Right now I am planning on to, I am like 99% chance of going there. So I still need to book my flight to Salt Lake City, but that's all on me, on my dime. So I'm planning on making it out to the Ravencoin meetup, yes. $35. DigiByte. Check DigiByte performance. 82 mega hash on DigiByte. For 200 watts. Well, that's got 18 intensity. What's going on, Miss BBT? Thank you much. I went and fired up on Twitch, or on not Twitch. I went on YouTube.
Oh, you're on YouTube?
Yeah, I thought I would do a little more testing. I wanted to see if the fan, because it didn't work on the other machine, and right now it's even running, and we're watching the temps go up. I mean, we're at 84 Celsius right now on this thing, and it just keeps rising. Now it's going to start to back down. 87 Celsius. Look at her climb. I threw a bunch of my miners over to NiceHash just to break even. Well, yeah, because right now people are still paying for NiceHash. Oh, look at that, 93 Celsius, 92. It's starting to back the power down.
No,
On YouTube? What's the title on YouTube say?
IBM Think 2019.
Update it. Just it was supposed to push it. Look at that. Look at that Celsius. Look at that. 100. That's got to be doing the junction temp right now. 102. Do the Radeon and then VII, so Radeon 7, Radeon space 7, cryptocurrency testing. $105C. Yeah, AMD is going to be replacing this GPU for me.
Did you answer the question about the Ravencoin meetup in March?
Yeah, I said that I would be there. I still need to book the flight, but it's okay. We don't pay attention to titles. So when I went live on this, I tried to push the title from Streamlabs, but it didn't. It just took my last live stream. This is what I mean. People wonder why, like, I started this stream earlier, and they're like, "Oh, why don't you ever live stream on YouTube?" I'm like, "Because it sucks as a live stream platform compared to Twitch. Like, it doesn't take in the effect. It doesn't work with third-party software like Streamlabs very well. You have to, like, all the streams I used to have on YouTube on live streams, I'd always have like audio issues and everything else. It was just ridiculous. Look at that temperature, guys. It's hilarious. 109C. Sitting there only at 874 RPM on those fans. Not spinning up at all. Yeah, AMD is going to be getting this one. They're going to be like, well, have you tried this? I'm like, I've tried 2 different PCs. I've tried 2 different drivers. So 81 mega hash on. We're going to let the card cool down because it's like a nuclear winter right now on that. So DigiByte got 83 mega hash, or 81 mega hash. DigiByte, 81 mega hash. I don't even think that's that good, actually. I think it should be well over 100 actually. Let's take a look and see what the... It's kind of annoying too because I really want to... So part of my gaming tonight is I was going to get back on Twitch and do like Apex Legends or something using this card, and I was going to monitor the power usage and all that, and yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it if the card doesn't try to actually cool itself. And we did try like synthetic test to think that maybe it's just something to do with mining. It's not. On 3D Mark it doesn't work either. It does not spin those fans up past 800. It's like it's hard locked. Those temps are nuts. Well, the temps are nuts because the fan speed does not increase past this. Even if I try to go manual. If I try to pull the whole thing up, nothing. Doesn't touch it. But like if I come over here and I go to mess with the memory, let's just max the memory out on it. So the memory now is taking the full load on memory. I'm going to put this over to the side. Then we'll launch some Ethereum Classic, number 3. Watch that junction temperature real quick on the bottom right hand side. We're at 90 mega hash. Look at that junction. Watch the junction temperature. It's like flooring a car. It's an RPM gauge. And notice the memory did not increase. Like it didn't increase. We're at 89 mega hash. I come down here and I just set the memory back to automatic. It drops it back to it's going to hold 87 because it's just blasting the heat right now on the card. 82 Celsius, 112 junction temperature. And what it does is it backs down the card. So now we're at 77 because you look at the power now is about about 200 watts. So yeah, the fan on this card doesn't work, and I'm gonna have to RMA it after tomorrow. I'm not even wasting people's time with Linux. I basically put Simple Mining OS, updated the drivers, and Simple Mining doesn't control it either. This card does not spin, or it will not spin up. Linux or Windows right now will not spin this card up. The fan's past 900 RPM. So I think it's just a bug with the card that I have. How much does the card go for? It's $699 brand new. So I ordered this card. It was $742 shipped. So we're letting it cool down right now. Again, and we're gonna try ETH Classic. Now that the card's calmed down, and I reset the memory to go back to 1000 megahertz, not 1200, on the HBM2. From what I could tell, it looks like the memory is optimized, even at, like it's not memory. Yeah, see, we're at 90.4. Now it was getting 92.7 on the other box. So I put this on a 1800X Ryzen, and it was getting 92 mega hash. Now it's going to temperature throttle because we're at 109 junction temperature. I'm kind of curious. I'm going to put a fan. This thing is going to be like fabulous here. Let's put. We are going to artificially cool it, and we're going to put a fan right on it. If the card won't do it, then I'm going to do it for it. Now we'll get to see the wattage of the fan addition here, because that's not fair if I'm hiding the wattage of this fan. We'll also get to see what the difference of adding a fan on there is. Make sure that this will actually hit from that angle. Now this will we'll just hold it. It's actually not really cooling the card at all down. It should be dropping the temp of this card a lot faster, but it's not. It's still just sitting there holding 50 Celsius. So that's just showing you that this is doing nothing. Like I was thinking that this would get it down to 39C pretty quickly, but it's really not doing anything for it. Fan power assisted. 91 mega hash. That's so good. Hey, we're getting one more mega hash out of it. It is, bro. But the things you do to try to get more mega hash. Getting accepted shares, so it's definitely working. 89, yeah, it's starting to drop because it's not affecting 73 Celsius. 75, yeah, this fan is not doing anything. It's not helping it at all. 76 Celsius, 77, it's just climbing. And the card will start to step down the power. Alright, so that did nothing. Besides make me look like an idiot. Usually you can have, yeah, it's proof of physical work. Damn right, brother. So, I think, given those sets of circumstances, what we're going to do, we're going to shut that down. Oh, look at that. Could not read memory. Yeah. Okay, machine, go die in a fire. Let's just swap that around there. Let's switch this back up to main scene. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shut this down. I'm going to put this in the other box because we're getting better performance in the other box. And now that we know that the machine itself, it has a limited effect on it, but it's like performance-wise. But the performance that I'm getting, or the fact that the fans do not spin up on this card still is an issue. And for the folks that were wondering, that were watching the other live stream on Twitch, I did use Simple Mining. I did update the drivers on Simple Mining by remoting into it, and it still would not allow me fan control. So Linux was not our savior. This card is just, it's not working. The fans do not spin up past just the idle. The idle speed of these fans is the only thing that's going on. And when you actually give the card power and you boot it up, like before it's even into Windows, the fans kick on and just sit there and idle, and that's as fast as the machine's going. So we're going to pull this machine down, and I'm going to bring over the other machine, because it was actually, we were actually getting better performance out of the other machine. And we can further some of our other testing, because I know some people want to see Beam and a few other algos before I have to send this one back. We'll do some more testing here. And if at the end of this stream somebody wants to do some timestamps, we'll have a little special surprise for them. So put your ETC address with that if you take on the effort of doing some pretty sweet timestamps. And I'll make sure that we take care of you on ETC. Actually, ETC, Ravencoin, or Ethereum. You just put whatever wallet. We'll make sure we take care of you guys. Our timestamps. We are pulling out a 1080 Ti out of this machine, the Zotac Amped Extreme Edition. You guys can see the sizing. I did this for the Twitch guys, but I'll do it for you too. For you can see the difference between like a 1080 Ti sizing, the Radeon 7, which both are dualed in, and then as I did for folks on there, of seeing another AMD tripled in card. This is a dual 390 X2. That was the only other AMD card that was available. You know, that wasn't like a workstation card that had 16 gigs of RAM on it. So this has 16 gigs of DDR5, and this has 16 gigs of HBM2. But this one took four 8-pins. And of course the Radeon 7 takes just 2 8-pins. Looks like the max TDP on this I've seen so far, when we put the power limit up to 20%, it was doing about 300 watts, 320 watts, somewhere around there. Actually, we went to 428 watts full system usage when this thing was full tilt, with the power settings the way they were. So it was a little cray-cray, for sure. Is this thing not going in? Come on. All right, there we go. It's much faster with the power tool there. All right, let's put this back in. So this is an 1800X build with 16 gigs of DDR4, PC 300 or PC 3400 Vengeance memory, and an NVMe drive, which is a 1 terabyte NVMe. It's pretty quick on the boot up. Another performance and speed. And we're gonna bring this around the table. Get this set up for you guys. And that's for that. We're gonna bring this forward for you guys can see it. And we're live testing. My Gigabyte Vegas 56s are all so stupid. Why are they so stupid? Sepher? This thing's booting up now. Is that the problem with your card, or all the 7s, the thing just don't get fan control like the Vega 56? So it seems to be just my card, because I've seen people post that they've had, they're doing okay with the fan control. But what is this? What am I drinking? Miss BBT brought this over.
Chocolate mint martini.
A chocolate mint martini. It's spec-freaking-tacular. Carter, you still running your old farm? I talked to BBT Todd today, and yes, it's back on. And we're gonna run out of loss for this month, in the hopes that Ethereum, with its Constantinople fork and then having a reduction in play, increases up. We're making a bet that Ethereum exceeds $200 by the end of the month, which would cover the power cost. So a little bit of risk for hopefully a little bit of reward here. There it is. Miss BBT just typed it out. Is the RX 570 still good to mine with? Yes, if you can get the power down, you're still... it really depends what you're mining. Right now, ETH is not profitable to mine with because of the difficulty being artificially bumped up right now. So Ethereum right now. Here, let's get this thing mining, and then here, I'll do this. Ethereum difficulty. So for the folks that have not been really tracking what's going on with Ethereum, Ethereum right now has this difficulty bomb that's went off. And because the difficulty bombs went off, the difficulty is artificially rising. So here's the ETH difficulty chart. This is what happened last time the difficulty bomb went off. Is right here it started going off these sharp inclines of the difficulty bomb automatically adjusting the ETH algorithm. So what happens is when the difficulty bomb got shut off, it dropped the difficulty down, and this is what really the network was able to sustain. And then this was just the ramp up of just people building stuff through January and February of last year. And what happened was with the price declining, everybody started falling off Ethereum because everybody started turning the rigs off. All this lasts since November, right? But you started having in December, the difficulty bomb went off right here, and it automatically brought, you see what happens when the difficulty bomb goes off? That little jump right there is from the difficulty bomb, and it's going to do another one of those. It's going to send it up to almost 3,000 terahash difficulty on the next tick up if Constantinople gets moved again, which will make Ethereum go through the roof. So that little bump right there, the network difficulty right now should be about down here, because this is who's all mining. So it's being artificially pushed up. So we're going to see another one of these little drop-offs here after Constantinople hits, which will make it easier to mine Ethereum, and thereby you should have more coins, but that's going to be a little offset because Ethereum is reducing the amount of coins you get for your hash power from 3 coins every block to 2 coins. So it's going to take a 33% hit. So if difficulty is out of whack by 33%, it's effectively a net neutral once the hard fork happens. So we'll see. All right, let's do a little quick test now here. We'll do Ethereum first, just like we've been doing, and seeing if the processing power of from a G4400 Intel to a Ryzen 7 1800X had any direct effect. And oh, look at that, it's funny. Let's go straight to 89 hash, so it's actually getting less. It's getting 91. We might have, do we have any hard-coded settings here? We might have had some settings set for Ethereum, actually. Let's see if it kept the settings that I was playing with the last time I had this here. Let's go into this gaming. Cool settings. Wattman. Yeah, it kept my settings. Yep, it was set at max 1200. So we're gonna hit reset on this. And hit yes. Now that should have memory and everything back to automatic. Core at automatic. And we're gonna close that. We're going to relaunch this now, and we're going to try it again. Is ASICs on ETH? Yes, there are ASICs on ETHs. Artificially bumped ASICs. No, artificially bumped means that when the difficulty bomb goes off, Ethereum automatically executes. There we go, 91.4 mega hash. We're going to let this run. We're going to see. So it's watch the power. The power right now is at 371 watts. This machine idles at about 80 to 90 watts. So it's about 285 watts right now being used just from that GPU. So we're at about 91. We're going to see how long this goes. We're going to let it go for a minute, and then I'll explain to you guys. If you guys want me to explain to you what's going on with Ethereum and how the difficulty works, I will explain it to you. So why that's going, I'll explain it. So Ethereum right now, in December, there was supposed to be a hard fork at the beginning of January called Constantinople. There was a handful of fixes for Ethereum's network, and then there was two kind of big things. One, turning off the delaying the difficulty bomb, which is a function that's built into Ethereum to effectively wean off miners whenever they're ready to go for proof of stake. So when a proof of stake hard fork comes out, the whole concept was they did not want a whole bunch of miners collecting together and saying, screw you, we're not going to support Ethereum proof of stake, and we're going to continue to mine, and we'll compete at the hard fork, which will split the network, right? The difficult bomb was encoded in there to effectively cause an artificial bump in difficulty that would go exponential to make it to where the network would not, the block times right now are predicated on hash power. So the more hash power on a block or on a network, on any network, this is Bitcoin, this is everybody, the more hash power, the difficulty of the problem of the solution, that is the difficulty of the network solution that we're trying to work as proof of work, gets more and more difficult. So it's like getting handed a problem and saying, try to solve this. If you solve it, you're effectively winning the block. You submit it to the pool says thank you, and then you share out as a collective group of on that pool of winning that block. So for Ethereum, block times normally are 15 seconds, so the network automatically calibrates the difficulty of the network based on the hash power. So what happens is that's a natural thing that happens in proof of work on all the different coins. It doesn't matter what coin it is. But Ethereum has that poison pill in the network to say that they're going to artificially bump the difficulty no matter what the hash power is. What the net effect of that is that we get served up a problem that's a lot harder to solve, thereby the chance of us solving it every 15 seconds and keeping the block, the network running on what was supposed to be every 15 seconds. It produces, we get coins every 15 seconds. It changes it to where it's a lot harder problem to solve, so it might take us 20 seconds, it might take us 30 seconds. And what you end up having is you have this situation right now that the difficulty bomb has went off because the network was supposed to get an upgrade. The upgrade hasn't happened, and let's go, did we lose this? Well, I might have hit something here, or it just froze up, one of the two. Let's go here. So you have Ethereum block time. So you have this situation right here to where this should be flat. This should show that it takes 15 seconds to solve every block. So all these little tiny lines here are every single block and what was the average time that it took to solve it, right? And sometimes it's, as new hash power gets on the network, you solve things faster, and then the algorithm will, or the network will update to say, okay, there's more, let's change the difficulty. So you're always getting this perpetually more hash power on there, and you end up getting faster block times because you're solving things faster before the network can address the difficulty. Well, when something like this happens and the difficulty bomb goes off, which it went off right here at the end of December, you can see this first little bump, and then you can see the next little bump a few weeks later, and then the next bump that just occurred, and then the next bump which just occurred. So now we're over 20 seconds. It's because there's not enough hash power to solve the blocks every 15. And it's actually increasing because what happens is the reason why this is increasing is because more and more people are dropping off the network, so it's then taking longer to solve blocks. You can see what happened here with the artificial bumps here. And instead of these going up naturally, more people were actually coming onto the network during July. I mean, think of 2017. There was a massive amount of hash power coming on the network at this time. So naturally, once it wasn't predicated anymore, you were having more hash power come on, so it was solving the blocks a little faster, but it was still over 20 seconds. It went all the way to almost 30-second block times, took twice as long to solve a block on Ethereum during the time that the difficulty bomb went off. And then when they forked did the hard fork before, it dropped it back down to 15 seconds. This is when Ethereum went from 5 coins per block down to 3 coins per block, but it also halved the network. So you had a 50% decrease in hash, the requirement to solve blocks, with about a 30%, 33% drop in the amount of issuance. So it still gave you that effect in October that you were getting more for your hash power, even though they reduced the amount of Ethereum that you were getting per block, because the reduction still did not outweigh the block times, because essentially it was taking you twice as long, so it was halving the network inflation rate. So that's, I don't know if that helped you guys or not. Hopefully that helps. I don't know if that confused the shit out of all of you guys or if it just helped or not. So things should be cooled down now. Let's see if there's a, let's see here. Now Ubiq was acting a little weird. It would not get to the hash rate that I thought it would get to, because it should be around the same as Ethereum, but Ubiq hash works a little different. But yeah, it looks like it's about 70. So Ubiq hash is handling it a little bit differently. But look at that, look at that. And so it's automatically hitting very high temps. But yeah, Ubiq's holding about 74. And it's going to drop down because we're gonna bury the needle on the temp, because the fans are not. $106C. What's your thoughts on energy coin? Is it worth mining? Never heard of it, bro. So now it's idling down because of the temps. We can see the effective speed, 105 megahash, 110C. So that 110C is the junction temp. So we'll let this thing cool down again. We'll let it cool down. We'll try Grin one more time. Now I usually do all this on Twitch, these live streams like this, and I will take I'm going to put together a clean, like 6 or 7 minute video. If you have not subscribed or followed on YouTube, you should. Right now, just hit the subscribe button. You'll see a video that's compiled down to about 7 minutes on this. You'll see about a 7-minute video on this where I'll throw some cool B-roll and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to get you just straight to the charts of all the different algorithms that I've tested over the last few days on this, and kind of give you a kind of final thoughts right now on my existing card. And I'm going to be looking to swap this out with a different one that actually friggin' works with the fans, and then we can do another proper test on it where I can actually mess with the fan curves and actually try some overclocking. And there's some other timing options that we can do too on the memory. It's equivalent of like 3 old 290s. Yeah, with a lot less power usage, because the old 290s are like tanks on power. So let's kick off Grin. Now this is Grin. I think this one's going to hit, we were messing with 31. Here's Grin 31. They were, Dave. We had them off. They're back on in hopes that Ethereum does a bump to at the end of the month. we're taking a bet that Ethereum's gonna increase over $200 by the end of the month. We'll let Grin run for a second here. Now this is doing the F2 pull. It's not really hitting the 2% on the CPU. Let's see how it's looking on compute cores. Yeah, it's about the power usage of 1. Which compute core is it using right now? I don't think it's able to read this. Not able to get any kind of read settings on the buying versus mining is tough at this point. Yeah, I mean, so I always tell people it's good to hedge. If you already have rigs, it's just a math problem to figure out if it makes sense for you. But you already have a sunk cost in the CapEx. But like buying coins, like a lot of people are like, why don't you just buy versus mine? The people that actually had mining rigs kind of came out a little better on the situation over the whole entire bear market, because they actually still have hardware that they can sell to buy more coins for cheaper than if they would have bought coins at its peak. And that was part of the whole hedge that people miss, because you actually still had equipment. Like if you spent $5,000 on equipment, and then you bought $1,000 worth of coins, and then you mined another like $2,000 or $3,000 at peak, those $2,000 or $3,000 worth of coins are now maybe worth, let's say, or worst case, are worth 90% less. Let's say that $2,000 or $3,000 is now worth about $300, right? Worth of coins. You still have all your coins that are worth $300, but you still have all your equipment that took maybe a 30 to 40% hit, not a 90% hit. So. JBW never stopped mining. Yeah, it's one of those things. If you go long on it and you can pay for the power, and you don't have a huge amount of rigs. I mean, BBT farms 2,500 cards, so that's, you can't let that run unless you're being able to have to divest some coins, because it's kind of expensive to keep that going. So yeah, 4.3, and that's obviously hitting the thermal barrier right now, because the card can't spin down or spin up the fans. Let it cool down for a second. Yeah, it sucks because I wish I could control the fans right now. Like the hedge argument. Well, I mean, it's just what it is. If you're going to be in the crypto space, there's different ways to get into it. You can buy coins directly. You can speculate with a little bit of money and try to work your way up through playing market. If you're good at understanding how to set stop limits and do all that sort of thing. I think we might have just popped. I had the yeah. I had this set with a very high intensity level that was not going to work on Monero earlier. I need to change that setting. We'll let that come back. But yeah, you guys can see I have a whole list of things that I have to get moved over to a video, and then you guys will see it here on YouTube. So if you have not subscribed or follow on YouTube, you should. if you want to get some updated information on this the next couple weeks, I'll be adding a lot on there, a lot of content on this channel. It's hard to buy newly launched coins. Yeah, so the only way to get into like Grin and all that kind of stuff in the very, very beginning, unless you're doing some kind of OTC trading or something, is you got to mine them. It's the same thing that happened with Ravencoin. It happened with pretty much every launched coin that's proof of work. At this point with card developments, are you liking Nvidia or AMD for value? AMD seems to be a better offer. Raw value, Nvidia seems to be a little more stable. Do you agree? Nvidia has always been stable, more stable than AMD in almost everything. From driver launches to gaming to the frequency of the updates. AMD's always been the bang for the buck. So if you can find in bear markets, like it was in 2013, 2014 when the bear market hit, you could find R9 290s, 280Xs for pennies on the, you know, compared to what they used to be, right? You could buy a 280X for 120 bucks, and then when the you know, bull market returned, you know, those R9 280s and 290s you were able to again use for Ethereum in September 2015 through, heck, I think we still rolled the 280Xs and 290s through the middle of 2016, and then you couldn't get cards. We moved a lot of the R9 290s because people could, at the time, they couldn't get cards and they wanted to buy those. And then the RX series came out, right? And then we started picking up some RXs where we could. So the right now it's been a bear market for so long. You can find RX 570s. I mean, I've seen 570s as low as 90 bucks. 570 still on Ethereum could do almost 30 mega hash. So there is still a good, you know, you can buy the card cheap, and then any return of the market going to any sort of bull market starts to fire up. We're still profitable. Like if you look at a lot of the coins, you're right at the edge of profitability if you have 8 cents per kilowatt. You know, you're like literally you're just barely green, meaning like you're pretty much break even on all the coins that you're getting, so you're essentially paying for just power. In 2013 and 2014, everything was red, like everything. Even Bitcoin by and large was still red, but people were highly investing and just paying power and just mining at a loss. So it's not even as bad as the 2013-2014 market. If Ethereum went to like $80 and then this hard fork happened and you had even 33% less, then you would have a super bear market, because right now everything would go red and nothing, you wouldn't be making any money. But so the fact that you can make money right now is interesting in crypto. The real interesting thing is if it goes back into a bull market, now you're talking everything going way green, then those $80 cards, so those are the tools that you can use to mine, start to become very valuable. So, you know, there's a play for just collecting the mining hardware now, and then if that, you know, the bull market's going to return, there's no doubt, and I mean, this is not financial advice, but it's just, you got too much infrastructure going in for it not to return, and the one catalyst that's going to push it over is going to be when Bitcoin has its halving. The halving is a year from now, so it's in 2020, but Bitcoin will go from 12.5 coins per 10 minutes to 6.5, right? Or about roughly 6.25 per, actually not even that. Yeah, 6.5. 6.25 BTC per 10 minutes. So you're going to have a natural inflation reduction right now, which every time Bitcoin has done that, it's caused a massive bull run, right? So the effect that that's going to have on the rest of the ecosystem, because of the simple fact that people don't put all their eggs in one basket on the crypto side, means that there's going to be a diversity of that money being spread across a few of the large cryptos. So if that's Ethereum, if that's Ethereum Classic, if that's Litecoin, if that's that kind of stuff, the things that are proof of work mining coins, then that means that any of the hardware that's being done to use that will then have a shelf value. Like, so you're looking a year out, what's coming out? Navi for the AMD cards may be out in November, which if we're looking at the Radeon 7 with the 7 nanometer technology right now, is a good example of, okay, if they're hitting 7 nanometer with DDR6 to make it cheaper than the HBM2 memory that's on there, now you have a situation where the Navi, if we're getting an indicative of understanding of what the output of this card is, and if it's 92 mega hash, that's about 3 times the current like standard AMD card. So a standard AMD card maybe puts out 30.5 mega hash per card. That'd be like a 580. A 590 maybe get 31, 32 mega hash at 150 watts. So that's 450 watts of power for the same amount of hash power that this thing puts out, right? So 450 versus this putting out, like let's say it stays at 280 to 300 watts and you can't change that, you're already getting 150 watt advantage per mega hash for this card. If Navi comes out with DDR6 and it can still hold around that 90 mega hash range, now that takes pretty much a third of the costs factoring. So if you can find what it comes down to at the end of the day, all those words being the way they are, that puts an RX 590 at a price point of under $200 is a good deal, right? Because it takes three 590s to equal that card. So if you can, and you're going to pay a little more in power. So that's what it comes down to. And that's, you guys are going to get some insight of what I'm going to cover on this is like a kind of a wrap-up video. But that's essentially what it is. So 3 590s. This costs $742 shipped to the doorstep. You know, if a 590 costs you $200 a piece, you're talking $600 with tax. Right now, a 590 is like you can find them for close to $200. But if you can find used cards for like $89, that's like crazy talk, because you can build a 6-card rig and output the power to cost advantage compared to this. So that just kind of gives you an idea. And these are not, these have like the availability of like the Vegas. Like they're still sometimes hard to find a Vega. Like now you can go into the stores and they're there, but it's one of those things that the supply is so thin that if the bull run happens, like literally overnight, all the cards are going to be gone. Like it's going to go down that fast. So because there's not this deep supply of the Vega 56s, 64s, and Radeon 7s. So then you're going to be left with Nvidia, and Nvidia is very good, very good for what it does, but it's still a lot more cost. I mean, the Nvidia cards are more expensive. So, the newest RTX cards are still, $800 to $1,300 for the top tier card, right? Which is crazy talk. You're not going to ROI that unless the bull, the bull market returned of even past the 2017 numbers, right? Because you're going to have this huge ramp up of hash power very quickly the moment it starts to become very profitable. So again, if you're not mining or you have some cards and you already have most of it paid for, it's more of time to sit on them, make sure that they work with this stuff, make sure you're ready to rock if the value goes up, because you're literally like overnight. It's one of those things. The way the crypto market works, like Ethereum had like an 8% bump in the last few days. If Ethereum goes to $200, it's now pretty decently profitable given the current hash power. After the fork, it stays pretty much even because of the reduction. But if Ethereum goes $500, $600, $700, it's profitable again because the difficulties came down from the peak of almost 60%, so or 53%, somewhere around there. So that will return, and you'll have it that way. So kind of just like spewed out a whole bunch of info to you guys. Now, a lot of the other channels I think cover this stuff. I know Voscoin tries to cover some of it. I know I Mine Blocks and a few of the other people, but I need to do this more. An Eero, the Radeon 7 is $900. Ouch, man. Don't pay $900 for this card. Don't pay $900 for this card. It's not worth it. Still surprising how expensive the 1080 Ti's are. The reason why the 1080 Ti's are so expensive is because of this card wasn't as good as what everybody thought it was right now. If the drivers come out and there's just some magical 20% setting in this card, and that's really the stretch target of this card now becomes just as good as like the RTX 2080 in general. The RTX 2080, not the 2080 Ti, becomes like beats it at almost everything, and then it's equal to the 1080 Ti. Then are a little better, then this will kind of start to take the place of that. But the 1080 Ti's right now still are one of the best cards bangs for the buck out there, especially for DirectX 11. DX12 and at 4K is kind of where it gets beat up at. and that's where the RTXs come in. So we know the hash rate of the RTX 2060 Zhash 1145. Is that Bitcoin Gold? Bitcoin Gold is the Equa hash 144.5, right? I don't know what else is 144.5. I don't know the RTX 2060s. I don't have any of the RTX, any of the other RTX cards. I moved the other two RTX 2080s that I had. If the market returns, I'll go through the whole gamut. I'll get one of each. People are scared of the RTX series because of the widespread RMAs. I haven't seen too much about that. I was worried about the RTX 2080 Ti blowing up on me, so I never bought one. It's a good price on that Founders Edition. Yeah, if you can find used 56s, people that are getting out of it, but Monero's about to go through another fork, so you should have that should fork off any of the ASICs or FPGAs. FPGAs are kind of the dark horses out there. But not a lot of people know them, and not a lot of the bit streams are out there because it's all about the max profitability. So you have a selected few of the groups that can actually program bit streams for FPGAs and are just trying to FPGA the hell out of the world. The Radeon has the same comparable hash rate to my V100. Yeah, so that from a hash rate, I mean, like that's the kind of the dark. You know, like if I could keep this thing cool. And this thing can maintain 91 megahash. It's actually friggin' unbelievable. 91 megahashes. This is doing about 40 megahash more than I thought it would do. So, all right, it's been cooled. Oh yeah, we were gonna do Monero. Here we go. CryptoNight, no, SRB. SRB 7.8. We need to go into config. We need to change this guy to not be 300. Let's go back to 0. So V8's what they're on right now. V7 runs a little faster. V8's what Monero's on though, but the V7 is optimal. $76 people. Is that how many people are watching right now? 79. So Monero right now. Here, let's do hash. So there's Monero performance on V7. So we're just at almost 3,000 hash, which is about 100. That's about almost 1,000 hash more than the Vega 56 BBT Multiminer. You can. I need to update it. So I have a lot of updates in here that is not out there right now. But this week I will have a final update for it. I'm going to label that one 8.1 will be the multi-miner update, which will have all these setting changes. What I've been trying to do is optimize it and make sure that it works with the Radeon 7, and then I'll release it to you guys. But right now you can find the current version 80C, 802C, I believe, is out there. If you just Google multi-miner, you'll find it. It's under the website, right? Yeah, it's on the website too. So let's close this out. And let's go back to, let's switch the config. So there's about a 200 megahash drop on V8. I need to look and see why. And I think it has something to do where I need to change the intensity some, but yeah, Monero's performance is pretty stellar. Yeah, 2747 just out of the box. And you can see the power right now. Oh, you guys can't see the power in the mode that I'm in right now. Weird. There we go. So there's the power. So this machine idles at about almost 100 watts, 80 to 100 watts. So it's about 200 watts for almost 3,000 hash. Now you guys are getting some insight of what I usually do on the live streams on Twitch. So if you don't follow me on Twitch, you're doing it wrong. You need to go out there. Also, you need to like, subscribe to YouTube for you guys can catch the recap of this video that will be about 7 minutes. I'll put some cool B-roll and some charting with it and give you guys kind of an overview of all the algorithms that were tested on the Radeon 7 and then other driver updates and stuff that come with this. So ETH is moving up again. So like I said before, guys, I had a bet out there that ETH was going to bust $200 by the end of the month to match what it needs to with the decrease in hash power, or the decrease in ETH issuance, because it's going to be hard. There's going to be less inflation in ETH at the end of the month. So for people, we're going to let this run for a minute. I'm going to see if this actually stays at 2,700. We'll come back to we'll look at this. We're doing more of a kind of a few minute test here. We'll come back to the scene. So again, for the people that missed it, at the end of the month, ETH has Constantinople coming out. The inflation rate of Ethereum is decreasing, which means there will be less Ethereum produced every day. So it's the same concept of what goes on with Bitcoin when it halves, is that Ethereum is going to drop by 33% inflation rate right away. So that's why you're starting to see Ethereum start to move up, is that it's going to be harder to get at the end of the day. There's going to be less available. So that's why the farm's back on mining ETH. I'm going to have most of the stuff here this week back on. And we're not going to be making as much ETH as we should be because of the difficulty bomb going off, but it should, if it's going to pay off by the end of the month if ETH goes to 200 bucks plus. So we did have a decrease in power. It was over 300. Now we're at 178, or we're at 278. So we're right at just under 200 watts, maybe 190, because the card is temperature throttling because I can't change the fan speed right now on the card. The card's got an issue. And we're at 2,500 hash. So we dropped about another 200 hash speed. But we're coming down in power usage too. So it's not the end of the world. I'll have to do the algebra to figure out if the 2,500 hash for 170 watts of power or 180 watts of power is worth it versus 205 watts of power with 200 more hash. It's an algebra problem versus the output that you get, but longer term test would be interesting. And then we'll let it cool down. Hardware info 64. I think I can see temps on this, can I? 58 on your Lyra V2 or V3. So is that for Vertcoin? Do 1080s need ETH enlargement to be good miners? Yes. On Ethereum, yes. I do see temps on here. For ETH on the 1080s, yes. Yeah, they just went to V3, right? So I don't know if I've updated that. And right now the power is, I'm only getting 85. It needs to cool down. Let's see, 110. It does not help with XMR. ETH pill does not help with XMR. Any thoughts on the 1160 GTX? Put a box fan on the GPU, more mega hash. Funny story, earlier in the stream I did, and it did not do nothing. I need to get the card fixed. I think we're going to start to wrap this one up. And I'm going to work and see if I can do any more hacks with this before I have to do an RMA on it. The card is running so hot. Yeah, the fans don't spin up on it. I gotta get that fixed. There's 25 mega hash on Ravencoin. For about 250 watts. Is an MSI RX 570, 8 GB good to mine with? Yes, it's very good. Why are all these coins changing algos? Because they're trying to stay ahead of ASICs and FPGAs. 23, you can see it already temperature throttling already. You can see by the power. So yeah, about 25, 26 mega hash on Ravencoin for this card. It's about the same as a 1080. Alright, yeah, look at that. 114 on the junction temperature. C. 75 on the main. Prog Proof of Work, it does not have a kernel available for it yet. I cannot test Prog Proof of Work on it yet. I need to work with the team and see if I can get a kernel made for it, before I can start doing some testing with it. But right now I cannot test Prog Proof of Work with it. 28. This is BitTube. BitTube's about 2300 hash. For folks that were wanting to know about BitTube. Yeah, so a real quick recap and then we'll close this one out, guys. And you should hit that subscribe and the bell icon if you want to know when the video of this comes out. 92.3 mega hash was the max on Ethereum. 2982 hash on XMR or /2700 on V8. 26.1 mega hash on Ethereum is the fastest I've seen. Grin right now is 4.63, which is kind of depressing. It should be over 5, but it's only 4.63 GPS. Ubiq is about 74 mega hash. Was kind of thinking that would be in the 90s too, but it's not. 74 mega hash. BitTube's you just saw almost 2300 hash. BTG Equihash, which was the 144/5, is about 55 souls, which that seems way low. That was only using like 150 watts, so I don't think the whole card was being used. Vel's about 27.3 mega hash. DigiByte was about 81 mega hash. The show is awesome. Makes me want to start mining again. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoy it, man. Make sure that if you haven't subscribed, you should be a subscriber, and you're going to see this video should be out tomorrow evening, which will have all the graphs and all the charts and stuff on what I had to do. And I'm going to have some calls out to the AMD team after this and point them to this video and see if they have any suggestions, since I've tried it both on Linux and Windows and I haven't seen anything. So none of this is overclock. All those are stock settings. So the thing's doing 92.3 mega hash stock setting. Oh, you guys are talking about Roger Mohammed's RX 580. Yeah, the 4.63 Grin is a little depressing, but the card looks like it's only using about 70% of its compute. So I think we have some. I can't do prog proof of work on it right now. There's no kernels available for it. So again, this stuff. So I'll go live on Twitch tomorrow if I find any updates to this. Otherwise, the Twitch stuff will be some updates on some mining rigs, because we're going to be doing prog proof of work testing across the board with a whole bunch of different rigs. So if you guys do not, again, shout out for the subscribes. I should see everybody on this channel right now subscribing. This close-up view, all of this stuff here, there's a case down there. I'm building all that back up, and we're going to be doing prog proof of work testing on all that stuff. So that's over there. The yellow one is an 8-card RX 480. That's a MS. That's the ROG RX 480, 8 gigs. There's a stack of other GPU types there that I'm going to be testing prog proof of work on. Those are some MSIs. And then I have this wonderful little rig here. Here, let me move this back over. I'm going to be putting, where is my, here we go, scene. And then we'll be putting this one back up and doing a full gambit test with prog proof of work. And this guy right here, which this is a 7-card, can be 8 if I want to be a pain in my butt to put it in. RX 580, 8 gig, send some memory. So we're going to do this rig too with doing a full test with prog proof of work. So again, I'm trying to do a full range of testing. We'll be doing R9 390, R7 270, 4 gig. There's some tricky stuff you have to do with the 4 gig cards to get it working with stuff like Grin and prog proof of work. But again, doing a lot of the testing for this stuff. Already had that one kind of set and ready to go. But again, like, subscribe, share, let everybody know that we're going to be doing some testing, and then I'm going to have recap videos for the people that can't watch long live streams for all of it. So we're back. BBT's back in the house for a bit, and we're going to put some of the best content out there on the web for you guys. So I'll catch you guys in a bit. We can't send you guys anywhere else like we can on Twitch. So we're going to catch you guys in a bit. I'll talk in chat for a few too if you guys got questions. So put any questions you got in chat, and I'll hang out for a minute, and we'll see you guys in a bit.